charging forward like a raging storm. Without warning and without retreat, the grizzly bear stands as the absolute ruler of North America. Raw, primal power erupts with every movement, each blow carrying devastating force, its jaws overwhelming all boundaries of survival. Its massive body surges into confrontation, dominating any opponent within a single fleeting breath. And when its roar rips through the forest, fear is officially born. Within the vast Taiga wilderness, the grizzly bear is not merely an 800-pound mass of raw muscle, but a quiet and calculating predator. It reads every signal of the forest, uses the direction of the wind to conceal its scent, and patiently waits along migration trails where deer herds often pause after long journeys. When a brief opening appears, the stillness is instantly broken. The massive body unleashes its strength, accelerating up to 35 miles per hour and surging forward like a force of muscle aimed at the prey. The grizzly does not rely on extended chases. Instead, it spreads panic, breaking the herd apart and forcing weaker individuals or young to reveal themselves. Even without a clear visual, its keen sense of smell allows the bear to detect prey from miles away. Within the tangled maze of fallen trees in the taiga, the grizzly turns the terrain into an advantage. A single mistimed moment is enough for a decisive strike to conclude the hunt, and the cycle of survival continues under the enduring rules of the forest. Summer in the interior of North America stretches the grasslands endlessly, yet abundance does not guarantee safety. Prolonged heat forces elk herds across the plains to break into smaller groups, moving constantly between sparse grazing areas in search of food and water. Among them stands a fully grown bull elk, weighing around 700 pounds and nearly 5 feet tall, distinguished by a broad, multi-branched rack reaching up to 4 feet long. An emblem of strength, but also an open challenge to any predator. As the herd's alertness begins to fade, the encounter unfolds. A familiar tactic is used to disrupt the elk formation through sudden appearances. In that moment, a younger individual falls out of rhythm and is quickly separated from the group's protection. The energy gained is immediate, but for the grizzly bear, it is not yet enough. Concealed along the forest's edge, the predator shifts toward a bolder objective, a full-grown adult. Rather than pursuing blindly across the open plain, the grizzly patiently steers the target toward unfavorable ground. Familiar escape routes slowly close off, guiding the elk into water nearly 3 feet deep, where agility is sharply reduced. At a narrow stream or shallow river crossing, the confrontation reaches its peak. The elk struggles to maintain balance, driving forceful charges, but the grizzly's superior weight and endurance steadily take control of the space. After several minutes of intense resistance, the bear moves in close and gains full control. The reward exceeds 100,000 calories, enough for the grizzly bear to build the fat reserves needed for the harsh winter ahead. It guards the carcass from scavengers, covers it with soil for storage, and feeds gradually over many days. Across the open plains, this stands as proof that strength alone is only a requirement. Strategy and the ability to use terrain ultimately decide who remains standing. Across the vast grasslands of Yellowstone, North American bison stand like living fortresses. Each individual weighs over 2,000 pounds, with massive shoulder muscles and horns nearly 2 feet long. Strength and defensive power that make them formidable opponents in the wild. Against such collective force, the grizzly bear rarely chooses direct confrontation. Instead, it moves quietly alongside the herd, keeping a safe distance and waiting. In this kind of hunt, patience becomes the primary weapon. Then the ground begins to tremble. A full-grown bison detects the threat and charges at nearly 35 miles per hour. The grizzly immediately pulls back to avoid a head-on clash. Yet the true objective is achieved. Confusion spreads through the herd, and the slowest calf is separated from the protective circle. Moments later, the mother bison turns back in anger, delivering powerful kicks. Even so, the outcome is already set. The encounter ends before the balance can shift, and the young calf becomes the reward for a predator that knows how to wait. And when fortune continues to favor the patient hunter, an aging bison weakened by exhaustion and falling behind can quickly become a critical source of energy, allowing the grizzly bear to maintain its condition as a harsh season draws closer. In Alaska, as daylight steadily shortens and food sources become entirely seasonal, the grizzly bear's internal clock begins its countdown. It enters the most critical survival phase of the year, hyperphagia, the period of constant feeding to store energy for the approaching winter. This survival pressure is most clearly seen at Brooks Falls. Here, sockeye salmon expend every remaining ounce of strength to clear rock ledges nearly 3 feet high, fighting strong currents to complete their life cycle. This final journey unintentionally turns them into an ideal food source. At the falls alone, a single salmon season can sustain more than 50 grizzly bears, from large adults to young cubs, all dependent on this brief migration window. Within the rushing water, rapid strikes and claws nearly 4 inches long allow the bears to catch fish with remarkable precision. A fully grown grizzly can consume up to 100,000 calories in less than a week, an amount of energy equal to hundreds of human meals. As autumn advances, the rhythm shifts. The salmon weaken after their final journey, their silver scales fading into deep red. a clear sign that the cycle is nearing its end. The grizzlies no longer need intense effort. They wade through shallow water only a few inches deep, collecting what remains in the current. This fat and protein-rich nutrition is quickly converted into a thick layer of fat, up to 5 inches deep beneath the skin. Not just energy, but a safeguard against the brutal Alaskan winter, where temperatures can drop to minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit. When the bears leave the riverbanks, what remains of the salmon continues to support birds, insects, and the riverside ecosystem. A reminder that each hunt shapes not only individual survival, but the balance of the northern wilderness itself. The grizzly bear stands as a symbol of North America's wild strength. Yet its greatest threat often comes from its own kind. With the arrival of another grizzly, the balance of survival can shift instantly. In resource-rich areas, conflict often begins in silence. Two individuals face one another at a distance of just 20 feet, under air chilled to around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. There are no thunderous roars, only slow circling steps, and the display of massive muscle, power capable of overpowering a full-grown moose. This is not a contest of speed, but a test of resolve. The one that hesitates first loses access to valuable food. During the breeding season, these confrontations carry even greater meaning. The struggle is no longer only about food, but also about mating rights. Heavy breathing, ground-shaking steps, and unbroken eye contact are used to measure strength, experience, and willingness to take risk. When boundaries are crossed, the standoff can escalate within seconds and end just as quickly. One bear withdraws, yielding territory, food, or breeding opportunity to the one that remains. In the world of grizzly bears, victory is not defined by overpowering another. It lies in avoiding unnecessary loss. The true measure of strength is not the force of a single strike, but the ability to endure the long winter ahead. And sometimes, stepping away from today's conflict is the only way to remain present tomorrow. Grizzly bears bury their kills beneath soil and decaying leaves to protect vital energy reserves. Yet the scent still travels through the cold air, drawing in other predators. The wolf pack does not rush in head-on. It spreads out in a wide arc, keeping a safe distance, moving constantly, and delivering quick nips to the hind legs to wear the opponent down. The grizzly turns, lowers its stance, and remains ready to respond. Most of these standoffs last for tens of minutes without a clear outcome. When risk outweighs reward, the pack withdraws through subtle signals. This is a contest of endurance, where if the balance of numbers exceeds roughly 3-1, the bear may be forced to give ground. Even so, against a fully grown male grizzly weighing over 600 pounds, wolves usually require a far greater advantage to alter the situation. In the end, the one that remains is not always the strongest, but the most patient, because in the wild, energy and time are weapons as well. The lion does not only pursue prey, it confronts other predators to hold its position. Each step across the savanna becomes a test where strength is examined from every direction. Between tall grass and the scorching open ground, instinct collides with strategy in every brief decision. When an encounter unfolds, it is not only prey that is weighed, but control over territory itself. In this world, a single mistimed moment is enough to shift the balance of dominance. African wild dogs are among the most persistent cooperative hunters on the savanna. Their success rate can reach nearly 80%, driven by disciplined formation, endurance, and an ability to read one another's movement. Yet the surge of activity after a hunt, the calls, the pacing, the rising energy, can sometimes open dangerous gaps. Under the midday heat, as the pack gathers beneath the shade of a tree, another presence moves in quietly. A lone male lion advances from downwind. No sound, no signal. Every sense is focused on the single moment that matters. The burst of speed comes as pure instinct, breaking the formation in an instant. One individual that fails to separate in time is locked in place, sending the rest of the pack into sudden disorder. They scatter in different directions, searching for cover in the brush. The lion does not pursue. It pauses, watching as silence slowly returns. The objective has been met. On the savanna, control does not always come from pursuit, but from appearing at the right moment. In a world where every sound carries a cost, silence is not an absence, it is power. Between lions and hyenas lies a rivalry shaped over generations. Each time they come face to face, the air seems to tighten. This is not only about food, it is about territory, access to water routes, and the right to stand at the top of the savanna's order. And at times the goal is not a final outcome, but to make the rival understand one thing: today is not the day to return. An adult male lion often weighs nearly twice as much as a spotted hyena, but hyenas rarely arrive alone. They gather in groups that can range from 10 to 30 individuals, persistent and unyielding. They shift positions constantly, testing reactions, applying pressure, stretching the patience of their opponent. Numbers create an invisible weight. Many species yield to it. The lion does not. When the hyena clan grows too confident and closes in, a boundary is crossed. The response from the one that holds authority comes as fast as a flash, without warning. With a recorded bite force that can exceed 650 pounds of force, a single clamp can be enough to take away an opponent's advantage. Yet what slows the hyenas even more is something harder to measure. Presence. A steady gaze, unhurried steps, the calm of one accustomed to being challenged. Not every encounter carries on to its furthest point. Sometimes the hyenas pull back early. Sometimes they linger at a cautious distance, waiting for an opening that never appears. But one thing remains almost unchanged. When the roar carries across the grass, the entire plain seems to hold its breath. In that moment, order is restored through presence, weight, and the memory of those who once turned away. The leopard is shaped by concealment. Its spotted coat blends into dry grass, its steps so light that even the wind seems unaware. Climbing comes naturally, and remaining unseen is a strategy. Yet even these advantages are not always enough when a lion's boundary is crossed. In rare encounters, the lion does not rely on speed to chase the leopard. It understands just how agile the opponent can be. Instead of pursuit, the lion uses numbers and spatial pressure, gradually narrowing the available space. As the pride closes in, escape routes begin to fade. The leopard lowers its body, forelegs raised, claws directed toward those drawing closer. This is not a challenge, but a final defensive response. Turning away would invite greater risk, so facing forward becomes the safest option. The leopard holds a steady gaze, a signal of restraint meant to protect itself. If fortune allows, it may slip into the brush when the circle loosens. At other times, the silence may stretch on without end. This is not a story about food. It is a message of territory. On the savanna, boundaries are upheld not only through strength, but through decisive moments, where the weaker side is left relying on chance alone. Among the most dangerous rivals a lion can face, the African buffalo consistently ranks at the top. With body mass that can exceed 1,500 pounds, horns curved like axes, and an unpredictable temperament, the buffalo is never an easy presence to confront. Yet it is precisely this level of risk that makes it the most demanding test. The first charge sends a tremor through the ground. The herd shifts in an instant. One individual falls out of rhythm and is pushed beyond the protective line. But what sets buffalo apart is their collective resolve. Within seconds, adult bulls turn back. A wall of muscle moves straight into the pressure, forcing the lions to separate. This time, the balance changes. The pride withdraws, leaving behind drifting dust and heavy breaths. The one that holds dominance does not always claim the outcome. Encounters with buffalo reveal a clear rule of the savanna. Strength does not rest solely in the advance, but in the ability to stand together when tested. The cheetah represents speed itself. On the savanna, no other cat accelerates faster in the opening seconds. But speed only holds value when paired with absolute awareness. And at times, a single lapse is enough to open the door to an outcome that cannot be reversed. The lion surges forward, securing the target through weight and position. Any advantage disappears at once, leaving no room to maneuver. The encounter concludes swiftly, within the tense silence of the savanna. This is nature's unforgiving lesson. One delayed moment is enough to erase every advantage. On this land, awareness is not a choice. It is the condition for survival. Across the endless grasslands, wildebeest move like a living current, numerous, resilient, and a familiar focus for lions. They are not aggressive animals, yet they can reach speeds of around 50 miles per hour, and their herd response is so rapid that the entire group can change direction as a single body. On a calm morning with a light breeze, one wildebeest lowers its head to graze, alert but unaware of the gaze fixed from a distance. As the gap closes inch by inch, the burst of speed is measured in breaths. The lion doesn't miss the moment, moving in with precise timing. Even while gaining control, the curved horns remain a risk, forcing the lion to position carefully and avoid a costly misstep. Within minutes, partners arrive to bring the pursuit to an end. The herd continues forward like the wind, but numbers do not always protect every individual. On the savanna, a single mistimed step leaves a mark, and the lion waits only for that moment. Between lions and crocodiles exists an unavoidable bond, where the dry savanna meets waters filled with hidden danger. Both stand as top predators within their own realms, and every encounter becomes a harsh test of instinct and limitation. When a lion is forced to swim across a river, the advantage shifts immediately. Beneath the murky surface, the crocodile's strength is at its peak. A sudden approach from below can disrupt the lion's rhythm, pushing it to struggle to keep its head above water. Even so, in the case of an adult male lion, Body mass and reflexes are often enough to break free, bringing the encounter to a swift end. But when the situation reverses, everything changes. Once a crocodile leaves the water, its heavy body becomes slow and vulnerable on slick sand. If it cannot turn back toward the river in time, it quickly loses leverage. The lion understands this moment well. Without haste, it uses pressure and positioning to control the situation, where water no longer offers protection. Confrontations between these two dominant forces rarely last long. The strongest is the one who chooses the right terrain. Water belongs to the crocodile. Land remains the lion's domain. The grizzly bear does not need to prevail in every confrontation to affirm its place. What allows it to endure is the ability to choose the right moment, the right target, and to step back when necessary. In the wild, true strength lies in adaptation and balance, not in force alone. For those who wish to continue following authentic and intense survival stories like this, viewers are encouraged to like and subscribe to stay connected on the wild journeys ahead.